lots of people sharing what they do and um, the great things that are happening within the ecosystem. I'd like to introduce Mustapha Daud, who is the Makerspace manager for Build Makerspace, located in Accra and also in the northern part of Ghana. Mustapha has worked in the ecosystem for over a decade now. I used to work with Nano Makerspace in some region in the northern part of Ghana. Has worked with university makerspaces like the Academic City University in Accra, and now he's managing two makerspaces called Build Makerspace, one in the southern part of Ghana in Accra, and also one in the northern part in the greater part of the region. I'd like to call him to be on the call and share some of the great things that he's been doing. Currently, he's working with the military personnel in Ghana on how to use additive manufacturing. That is basically using the 3D printer to work. And I believe it's something that is more inspiring for us to hear. So today we would want to hear from him to share more about the work that he's been doing so far. So Mustapha, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Hi, everybody. My name is Mustapha Dauda, and I'm based in Accra, Ghana. Like Joseph rightly said, I manage Build Makerspace. It's a newly created makerspace here in Ghana. We have a space in Tamale, and then we have another space here in Accra where we run our activities. Yes. So our goal at Build Makerspace is just to run makerspace activities as usual. The purpose of this call today, I think, is about projects ongoing that I'm handling here in Accra with the Ghana Armed Forces. Actually, uh, this project came about. I think it wasn't something that we planned. Let me just say it was a bit accidental. So there was a conversation that came up between me and one of my co-workers. So we decided to visit the Ghana Armed Forces schools to see if we could offer some STEM trainings at their school just for free. So we reached out to a point of contact, and then they sent us to one of the schools to just have some play with the kids around making and then introducing STEM to them. Fortunately for us, something interesting came up, and that was when we met one of the leaders at the Ghana Armed Forces who brought up a conversation about how they want to enhance their operations with modern technology. So through the conversation, they got to realize that there are so many things that we could do that would be very beneficial to them. The, they mentioned some of the challenges they are facing, some of the things they wished they had people who could do. I think they mentioned drones and they gave examples of some of the drones they do purchase from other companies outside the country, which sometimes very costly, and also sometimes when something breaks down, it becomes very difficult to repair and maintain, which slow down their operational processes. So we said, okay, we'll go and then think about it and come back with another proposal. Actually, this started somewhere last year, September. So it was back and forth with them, meetings upon meetings, showcasing some of the things we could do in board member meetings. So finally, they call us in to come and then have a bit of training sessions with their school of IT, because in the military, I think they have a school of IT where they teach them cybersecurity, they teach them hardware repair. So those students are responsible for the repairs of their equipment they have in the military. And they say, I think they said they do AI as well. So we wanted to probe to know how much they've done about AI. We realized that they are still on the surface, they've not even started anything significant. So we gave them a very comprehensive proposal that will cover most of these places. And the interesting part they like was when I mentioned the Makerspace, they wanted to know what a Makerspace was and how it could work or how it could enhance their operation. So I explained to them some of the things that are being done and how you can easily make whatever you want to make in a Makerspace, move from idea to a product in days. So they were excited about that. And then through further and further conversation, we spoke more about how other military are using drone, especially 3D printed drones, FPV drones, in so much operations in surveillance and disaster management. So they were like, okay, they've been sending troops to go to illegal mining sites, and sometimes it's so difficult for them to monitor some of these sites. Then we propose that, well, you can build FPV drones on site. So if you have some couple of 3D printers, maybe you could just send it to your a camp nearby an illegal mining area. You could, if you know how to design and then assemble these drones, you could do that on site, and whatever challenges that happen is you can repair these drones on site. So they got excited and then gave us the opportunity to come in to train some of their junior armed forces recruits in the electronics, 3D printing, uh, yeah, and also drone. We did a bit of robotics, but then the time was very limited. So I took them through open source electronic design. We learned a little bit about basic electronics. Then we further advanced into 3D modeling, which I took them very extensively on that. I think it took almost about 70% of the time we wanted to spend there because they were so much interested in that they didn't even want us to stop. Then we now further advance into drone. So we assembled some of the FPV drones. We designed some of the parts of the drones, 3D printed them on site, and then we added the electronics to it. But unfortunately, we couldn't finish everything because of the time. It was only a 3 day session. We'll be hosting them again at our space, I think on coming Wednesday, and then we'll have further and further engagement with them. So uh, the training was actually very interesting for the military personnel actually, because they've never seen something of that sort before. And that was the first time some of them began understanding how they could source components and then build their own stuff, which will be free from uh, any other suspicious softwares that may be embedded in some of the equipment they are using. So they were so much excited that they now understand that right now we could also learn how to make things on our own. Yes. So I think the next phase of the project is establishing a lab or a makerspace within their yard where we will train them in some of these core skills that they need. We started the process already, but we are still at the early stages. So we want to put in a sort of like a makerspace geared towards their operation. Of course, there will be digital manufacturing, 3D printing, laser cutting, and stuff. We have electronic workbenches, and also already they have some hardware department there. But this hardware department mostly focuses on repairs. So we met them, and then we want to transition them into real making stuff for themselves because they have the craftiness in their hands. Now, with the knowledge and the skills to be able to produce your own stuff. It shouldn't be about repair all the time, and they were so excited about that. The feedback we got from them was very, very laudable. And in fact, some of them were like, okay, if this session could be extended to up to 2, 3 weeks, that would be very, very, very interesting for them. But unfortunately, uh, the senior men over there gave us only 2 days for us to run the training. Now, I think some of these trainings are very, very vital for our military. The last time I was checking some other military bases, you know, some are well equipped in making. So whenever they go on the field or operations, they have their tools, they have equipment, and they even have websites, softwares installed on their PCs with some dedicated military members. I think someone mic is on. Yeah, so with dedicated military members who usually work on site to produce some of these equipment they need, developing softwares, uh, developing robotics, developing drones, and also building real-time solutions on site. So that was just the main purpose of our interaction and engagement with the military. Now, going forward, like I mentioned earlier on, the military suggested that we build a lab for them, which of course we are working on, and then train their personnel and also have a resource person who will be with them for some time for them to really, really learn whatever we are doing or whatever we want to do with them. And I think these initiatives are very, very vital, especially looking at how our operations are done here in Ghana. Usually, the military faces a lot of challenges, and procuring equipment, some basic equipment are there that sometimes procuring them takes a very long process from one person to another because before it reaches the approval stage, you know, it will be long overdue. So I think when we are able to equip our service personnel on how to build some of these stuff, government agencies wouldn't be able. The delay in procuring some of these tools and equipment wouldn't be a challenge for them again. Also, they talked about defense system, which we also highlighted on. I think we couldn't do much on that due to time. We wanted to try and build a drone de-authentication device for them because they cited a challenge where people fly drones over their camp, which is a security threat to them. You know, so these were some of the things that came up, and then we work around uh, the whole point, trying to let them know what they could learn from us and how beneficial that could be to them as well. So yeah, in short, I think we'll be starting another extensive training with them coming somewhere 10th April, which is expected to run for about a month. So we'll go deep in training them hands on whatever we did previously and even additional trainings as well. So that has been what we've been doing with the military for the past few weeks that I've been here in Accra, engaging with them. Yeah. Any,
All right.
any questions?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mustapha. That is really straightforward and very simple as well as very interesting conversation you've shared with us. I think I'm sure a lot of people have lots of questions to mention. I have one particular question. I know it started with you saying you want to organize like free trainings and for the kids and also for the military personnel. But subsequently, are you being paid for the work that you are doing?
Yeah, so I said we actually got in touch with them through, we're so curious. We just walked past into one of their schools and then wanted to just offer some free sessions that day, that particular day, not every day. And then we got in touch with them. So whatever we are doing is now on contract basis. It's we've now taken the conversation to the next level and then we are engaging in that things. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sure others also have questions. If you have any question, please go ahead and share.
Hi there. I'm having difficulty trying to figure out how to raise my hand, but I would like to ask a question. Mustapha, it's really great to see you doing this, particularly with your long history of pioneering makerspaces in Ghana, starting with Noni Hub, and I first met you through the Global Innovation Gathering Network. And now the idea that you're training the military in these things is really exciting to me. One of the projects we did last year, I did a couple of years ago, involved, can you hear me okay? Yeah, I thought my internet cut out, sorry. One of the projects involved doing some training on business models for makerspaces, which was done by our colleagues Anna Lowe and Martin Alo and yes, exactly. And consultancy is a big part of it. So it's a simple question in some ways. Does the military pay well? Do they pay you good money to do this work? Is it something that other makerspaces, like compared to say the school system or the universities you've worked for in the past, or even the private sector, does the military pay better?
Well, this is I think this is subjective, but I think they they have a budget they've assigned for this for a very long time. I think their pay is not better as compared to some of the staffs we work with, but also better compared to some other schools we've also worked with. They've handed over all the schools they want us to, the basic schools that, there are civilian schools in there. They've handed that for us to train, and that would be, they will not pay for that. Parents will pay for the awards for that. But building the lab for them, they have a budget which they want us to work around that budget, and I think it's not a really bad budget actually. Comparing, looking at what we want to do there, it is really difficult for the military to actually pay. Then that's the truth, because it's not easy to get them to pay money, and it's yeah. So those are the two sides of the story.
Okay. And in Ghana, you have military service. Is there any sign that the military service could be useful to makerspaces across the country in the future? I remember at DTI, they would take people who were doing the Ghanaian military service to go and work for them at the Makerspace, helping deliver the teaching in Accra. But is it something the military is able to do more generally, or is military service separate from the military?
Yeah, I think it's military service separate, yeah, from us. But looking at how the conversation was going, they want to extend some of these service to the civilians as well, where they could hire people, say, I mean, resource people to come in their makerspace. That is when we are done building that makerspace. We hire people who could always come in with their skills and knowledge to work with them as civilians and not military people actually.
Thank you. I think that's all my questions.
Okay.
Does anybody else have a question?
Okay, I think I can just come in,
Yeah.
right? Okay, cool. So I think my question is more of on did you have a discussion on maybe the uses of the technology or the skills that you were teaching them? Recently, we had a story in the news about was it Anthropic in the States, where they were kind of demanding that the army do not use its it's AI for maybe killing people and things like that. So I'm just wondering, for your interaction with the army, did you kind of have that conversation, or did you have kind of those worries, or it wasn't something that was discussed?
Come again. I didn't get your point.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I'm saying that recently in the news we had stories about Anthropic and the Department of War in the United States, where Anthropic was saying you cannot use our AI to like kill people and things like that. So I'm thinking, in your working with the army in Ghana, did you kind of have those kind of conversations about maybe the skills that you're teaching them, like in terms of, are you not going to be able to harm people or things like that? Like, did you have like those kind of talks about what the skills you're teaching them, or probably the technology you're teaching them, what they will be used for and things like that? Or it wasn't something that was talked about?
Oh, okay. Actually, it was something that was actually talked about in a different way. So, they shared a concern about the dangers of emerging technologies, and then how to, I mean, beware how to properly use that. Okay. And the military, they have very, very strict policies and also very strict regulations over there. So wherever technology or wherever thing we are teaching them, it's for enhancement of their operations solely. And they scrutinize most of the things that we do. Yeah, I think generally modern technology has the bad side of it, whatever robotics, AI, whatever. And even though it wasn't spoken as you said, that people say AI for killing people and stuff. But then they spoke about the dangerous aspect of that, which we address with them. And yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for that. I just wanted to understand if probably we ever get an opportunity to also deal with such institutions here in Zim, if it's something that we can talk about. Because sometimes I feel like we are small fish, so some of these issues you might not be able to raise them in some of these meetings. But yeah, I just wanted to hear your experience on that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I think there's an interesting point about makerspaces being considered dual-use technologies, and the sorry, I've been trying to post a message in the chat and it's gone wrong. And the result of that was that in conflicts like in Syria and Ukraine, when organizations have been building makerspaces, whether that was my previous organization, Field Ready, or whether that was the Tolokar project, there had to be commitments that even though makerspaces are what's known as dual use, they can be used for military or civilian purposes, that there were commitments that they would only be used for civilian purposes and could not be used for military purposes. And but yeah, I think also let's not go down the conversation with Anthropic too much. But I think Anthropic AI is already being used by the American military, will be for years to come. So yeah, it's they're not doing that on ethical grounds. It's a personality disagreement, and they're trying to get good PR out of it. Yeah. Samuel has his hand up.
Yeah, okay, so thank you very much. Your work is very exciting, Mr. Mustapha. My name is Samuel Usutechi. Yes, I'm just wondering the possibilities of a makerspace within the military system or military academy or the military itself. Like, I'm looking at the future. In Ghana, we have a history where the previously in the a Champon government and the Gambuzia government, the military were actually involved in agriculture, in health. And so I'm thinking that if a makerspace within the military actually progresses into a place where their engineers will co-design innovative technologies for, say, agriculture, for, say, food, for, say, herbal medicine, for, say, even for learning, you know, because sometimes the Ghanaian military has a good budget, sometimes, and then sometimes they have power, sometimes they have influence. So I'm thinking that I don't know where you are going with this. Either you are just going to focus on these new technologies, drones and 3D printing, and secondly, maybe focusing on bringing their kids to, I mean, the students, the young learners together to create stuff. I don't know whether you are focusing on that alone or you are actually thinking in a long term where you have an actual running makerspace within the military that is broad like it used to be. You know that years back, the military was involved even in food planting, in plantations and all that. And now is involved in, just like you said, galamsey, I mean, halting galamsey and other things. So the prospects look wide. So I just want to let your imagination run wide, I mean wild, as you continue to set up these new relationships that you are building. But I mean, congratulations. Getting to do anything with the military is not easy in Ghana because they are already, what's the right word? Suspicious. It's not the right word, but that's what I mean. When you go in at first, there's a lot of suspicion. So being able to enter and work with them, I think is very brave of you, Mustapha, and you have to keep it up and keep your imagination running wild. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your input as well. You know, I have a principle that first of all, before you make something nice, make it exist first, and you can now make it look nice going forward. So let's build the space first, and then we'll work in improving some of these things. I think they are really, really laudable. The military is a very powerful institution in the country. And if they are being equipped with some of this knowledge, you know, when a makerspace is there, you can make whatever you want to make. People can make things, and people can repair things. People can fix whatever they want to do. So I think it's a very good input you've also given us, and we'll also put that at the back of our minds and our further engagement with them.
Yeah, can I go?
Yes, Loan.
Right. Yeah, Mustapha, well done. That's inspiring. I've still been figuring out what machinery exists in makerspaces. And initially, it was 3D printers and others that make makerspaces. But as you build drones, as you build, I don't know whether you're building with fiber or you're building with metal. So are we using metal fabrication equipment, or you just using the 3D printing as the design? And what kind of AI? How do are you integrating the AI that you mentioned that can be used for? How are AI integrated into the military? What kind of AI are they using in that case? I know we have CNC. For us, we have CNC plasma cutter machines. We have rollers, benders that used to fabricate equipment and machinery for both agro processing, for renewable energy and stuff. But it will be interesting to know a little bit more about how your makerspace is structured, what kind of equipment you're using. So, you know, if we need to upgrade ours to be a bit more aligned with makerspace technologies, I can see what are the best practices that we can also learn from to help us because we are also planning for the future, and part of the planning, of course, we want to build electric tricycles, electric cars for the agricultural industry in Ghana, where they could go to address post-harvest losses and cooling vans, cooling electric tricycles and stuff. But that is our plan for the future. What I wanted to also learn is, I think that's the main question. I just want to learn from you what kind of machinery equipment you're using, what AI integration have you put into it that is making it more interesting, that we can also adopt some to help scale up our maker spaces.
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. I think makerspace tools and equipment are heavily influenced by your activities or your focus of the makerspace, you know. So, like, say, if someone is building a makerspace for educational purpose, the tools and equipment the person will require will be a bit different from someone building a makerspace for production, right? So you look at that, but in all, there are some essential elements you need to consider. So, at our end, we combine both educational makers that build makerspace, both educational aspects and also for production aspects, where we create business models. So we have CNC, plasma cutters, like you mentioned, we have some. I think we just procure a laser, a fiber laser that's arrived last week and is already in operation. We have 3D printers, we have CNC wood routers. That's because we are moving towards the production aspect. Now, the aspect of the makerspace where we are using for educational purposes is much more geared toward the digital fabrication aspect, where we have the 3D printers, we have electronic soldering kits, we have robotic kits, like generally equipment that or tools and devices that people can really relate with. You know, they are not really heavy machinery. Okay. So with the military operations, theirs are a bit different. So depending on their operations, the equipment we are procuring, that even we would have to set up PLC programming stuff over there for them, right? So generally, what you have in your makerspace or what you should have in your makerspace is heavily influenced by how you want your makerspace to operate. Now, talking about AI is very broad. AI is very, very, very broad. One practical example can be computer vision, right? So some of these military people go on night patrols and stuff. Sometimes they would want to build a drone which has these abilities to look around. When you are putting eyes in the sky, it's very good to put a brain in that eye to be able to tell you what it's seeing, right? So that's where the AI aspect comes in. So we've not really taken it, but then there are so many applications about AI in embedding AI in robotics and also building standalone AI softwares as well, right? There's so much. Maybe we can engage further since we have each other contact, and then we further discuss about this much. Hope I answered your questions very well.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's clear.
Okay, I think there are no more hands up, and our time is also up. It's exactly 9 a.m. GMT, and we would have to end here. Thank you very much, Mustapha, for giving us a wonderful presentation on your work with the military service in Ghana. I'll say that we would want you to continue pursuing that course and also even get to the point where other sectors within the public domain are also included in your work, especially within the agri sector and also the communication sector and the technology sector. Last year and when we were working on the Make project, we had contact with the Science, Environment and Technology Ministry, and we got to a point that we felt there will be something beneficial coming out where there will be more introduction of makerspaces across Ghana. But it got to a point, there was a new government and things were put on a halt. I hope that there will be a point where when there is more voluntary work like what you've been doing, we'll create that avenue where they will accept the work that makerspaces are doing and also in a way improve or in a way absorb it within the various sectors within our economy and improve the communities at large. So thank you so much. I'd like to say that our next call will be next month, and we have our very own Fab Lab Marina manager, Martinolu. Just within this month, early this month, he had to train Fab Lab managers in Nigeria. He was invited by the embassy of French embassy to Nigeria to do a presentation or a training for them for the Fab Labs in Nigeria. And I think it will also be very interesting for us to listen and also get to learn a lot from what he's been doing and what he did when he went to Nigeria for that particular training. Yeah. I don't know if Kirsten, Andrew, if you have any last thing to say, I'll hand it over to you.
No, just see you next month. But we haven't the LinkedIn group now. I know some of you heard about today's meeting with that. So if you're active on LinkedIn, please do reshare the posts. There's some excellent posts that Samuel has very kindly been putting together. So please share those posts. And if you know people, such as in the Timbuktu network, who would be interested in joining future meetings, please do share the LinkedIn group with them.
Yeah, maybe just last thing for me, that stay tuned. We will have our Portuguese special edition, which is because of the Makerspace and Fab Lab network of Portugal. And we will then invite, obviously, some of our Portuguese-speaking members, but everybody will be invited to join, just that you'll be listening in Portuguese. So just note that'll be coming up as a special edition. And otherwise, thanks to everybody for joining.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.